A very good evening, everybody. A warm welcome to you all. I'm Muskan on behalf of Research Culture Society and Scientific Research Association and the organizing committee members, Dr. C.M. Patel, Director, Research Culture Society, Mrs. Jaya Chetwani, Counselor and Special Educator, Dr. Jessica, Founder of Scientific Research Association. Welcome you again today for the fifth session of the short-term training program on developing personal improvement through soft skills. This short-term training program has created as a special event for enhancement of skill development in learners. These skills include adaptability, communication, creative thinking, work ethics, teamwork, and so on. It is an intangible idea in which the qualities like integrity, positivity, flexibility, reliability, management, etc., are combined to enhance one's work efficacy and to shape them into competencies. I request our participants to stay tuned with us throughout the week as we all will get to learn a lot. Professional career skills, work-life integration, constructive ways to manage anger, the science of personal achievement, building positive workplace relationships, and leadership skills. Now I request to Chirag sir to play a short video about Research Culture Society. Sir, could we have the video, please? Quality and non-profitable services. Our members are scholarly educationists from various universities and institutes of repute. Here, the faculties, research scholars, and students interested in the area of research are given guidance and support in how their work can support to the betterment of our present and future generations. Research Culture Society is conducting conferences, seminars, symposiums, workshops, training and development programs on different themes. Society has organized 100 plus educational programs successfully at national and international level in association with different educational institutions, and also published selected research papers as general, special issues, and book proceedings. Educational institutions, colleges, universities are being welcomed for the association and memorandum of understanding, academic exchange, knowledge sharing, and collaboration to organize events with us. Scholarly professors, academicians, and researchers also being welcomed to join us as the speakers and trainers. Society is promoting and sponsoring educational events as well as publishing research work in collaboration. Society also offers membership. Here are the glimpses of International Conferences 2021. Here, some of our past international conferences 2020. And there are also glimpses of workshops, FDPs, and webinars. Society announces awards every year as RCS International Awards for academicians, researchers, professors, lecturers, teachers, doctoral students, tutors, practitioners, industry delegates, and citizens as individual category. And institutions, colleges, universities, higher education, corporate, firm, and industry sector as common category. Our MOUs, collaborators, and associate institutions, universities. The journal associated with Research Culture Society are referred, indexed with high impact factor. Society journals are publishing research papers, articles in all major fields and subjects related to sciences, health sciences, engineering, agriculture, pharmacy, commerce, management, social sciences, arts, humanities, education, law, and life skills. Journals provide publications and digital identification with nominal processing charge. Research Culture Society also provides print and online book publications with ISBN. Society invites book publication in all study subjects and categories. Thesis converted into books and conference proceedings publication are also available. We invite sponsorship and grants from the corporate, industries, institutions, and government organizations to support our educational programs. The society arranges special lectures on soft skills, communication skills, personality development, behavior improvement, etc., and arranges competitions on research in science and technology, general and technical knowledge in different institutions, colleges, universities, and schools. The Society bestows Excellence and Achievement Awards as ASEA's International Awards and SRA Global Awards. For further inquiry, visit our website and also connect by email. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Now, before beginning our today's session, there are some instructions for our participants. Dear participants, please mute while presentation is ongoing. Background voice shouldn't come from anybody's side. While resource person asks questions in the active session, you can unmute and give a reply. If you have any query, then leave your question in the chat box. I'll ask question on your behalf, or you can raise your hand and ask the question when you are asked to do so. We enjoy your active participation. Happy learning to all. And now I feel privileged to welcome our today's resource person, Rania Lampu ma'am. I'm sorry if I pronounce wrong, but and she is a global educator, STEM instructor, ICT teacher trainer, neuroeducation researcher, international keynote speaker, author of scientific books for kids, and global peace ambassador in Greece. Currently, she is working as STEM instructor at Greek Astronomy and Space Company, and also working at the Greek Ministry of Education at the Directorate of Educational Technology and Innovation, where she writes STEM projects for Greek schools. She is also a social activist, a global peace ambassador, a senior advisor of United Nations, Peacekeepers Federal Council, and ambassador of Ecumenical Delphic Union, in which she is a member of the Educational Committee in collaboration with Harvard University and international ambassador of volunteerism and education of the Greek Academy of Volunteerism, Hellas. She is also an international executive member of Global Edu Leaders Forum, honorary ambassador of Charles Walters Society, education ambassador and member of the International Organization of Educators and Researchers, Inc., and ambassador of National Education Policy 2020 and a mentor of Hundreds Mentor platform. She is an editorial board member of many journals. She has presented her research in numerous international conferences and e-conferences. She is a winner of Global Teacher Award 2020 and 2021 and a Global Teacher Prize finalist in 2019. She has been awarded with over 120 national and international prizes. We're proud of you, ma'am. Recently, she has been selected as Global Icon 2020, featured in Passion Vista magazine among the top 10 women entrepreneurs featured in Fortune, and among the 100 most successful women in business featured in Amazon book by Global Trade Chamber. Ma'am, I literally mesmerized with such a great, commendable work done by you. I'm literally out of my mind that how do you manage everything? Ma'am, we welcome you from the depth of our heart. I request you to start with your presentation.
Good evening from Greece to all. Thank you very much for your very honorable introduction. I'm very, very happy and very honored to be invited in this very interesting webinar about how to develop our personal improvement, organized by Research Culture Society, and I want to thank Dr. Sirat Patel for his always kind invitations. So today we try to explore this science of personal achievement, the ingredients of success, and also we want to see some powerful success strategies. Because throughout our lives, we are on a hunt. We search for the magical keys that will unlock the doors of success. And the identification of those keys is not the same, of course, for everyone. Some see success as the accumulation of money, material goods. Some find the success the development of strong family ties, and others use the development of a satisfying career as the measuring stick for success. So success is something, personal achievement is a concept that is very different for every person. Success is not something you attain, of course, without putting in effort. However, it is, you could say, mindset that you must adopt it to accomplish your goals and grow as a person. So it takes hard work. So there are people who will tell you that there are no shortcuts to success, and there are people who will prove to you that they have found immediate success. So listening to and learning from others' experiences and failures might gives us a good idea about the do's and don'ts of doing things the right way. So let me now share my presentation to start. We could say that a full life is more than the sum of its most obvious achievements. The first step toward living a more fruitful, engaged, and prosperous life means figuring out what success means to you. Be realistic, because naturally time pressures, as well as limitations, resilience prevents us from achieving the excellence in every aspect of our lives. So we need to measure achievement. So the fact is that there is no single measure of success. And although ambitions can relate to objective yardsticks such as wealth or status or a career, these benchmarks can't capture the whole picture. Indeed, objective criteria such as this, we can see the wheel of life, often prompt people to make unhelpful comparisons between themselves and their peers, but these sorts of comparisons only make sense if the people concerned have ambitions in the same areas. So many people prioritize private aspects of their lives, such as conducting a loving relationship with others, partner over years, rather than the public aspects, such as sexual careers. And of course, these are changing because ideas within wider society change with all the traditions and the customs, etc. So what are usually the success factors? Of course, education is the first factor. In our society, the highest paid people are those who know more than the average. The rule is that to earn more, you must learn more. If you want to increase your level of income and achieve the best life for yourself, you must increase the level of your intellectual capital. Skills, of course, because you need to, in order to achieve the best life possible, you need skills. Your level of ability in your field will define the quality, quantity of your results. The better you get at what you do, the easier it is for you to start moving forward to get a particular level of results. And as you increase your skills for studying experience, you will get better and better at doing the smaller things, and that increase the speed and predictability of your results. That's very important. The power of networking. I want to say my experience that when I launched my first international project, I didn't have any sponsorship at all behind me, any financial aid. I launched this program only on social media, and in 3 weeks, 200 teachers were registered and over 10,000 students were registered. It was a national project. So the power of networking of social media is very important nowadays. And we all know the role also of influencers. What happens here, that they have, in the domain of marketing, they have replaced the old marketing and advertisement ways. So the success factor for moving forward and achieving the best of life is by developing an ever-widening circle of contacts. So you will find that every major change in your life is accompanied by persons who either opens or open or close doors for you. Money, because having money gives you greater freedom, usually the ability to take advantage of opportunities when they come along. Good work habits, because your ability to increase what we call return on time invested can enable us to accomplish vastly more in a shorter period of time than another person who is disorganized. So developing good work habits requires that we think before acting. So you can make a list, set priorities on the list before we begin. Good work habits require that we consider the likely consequences, positive or negative, of what we're doing. Positive mental attitude, because we need to reduce the amount of time that it takes us to achieve our goals, and this needs to develop a positive mental attitude. Positive mental attitude is very much a decision that we make. Remember that you become what you do. If you engage in the same activities that positive, confident, optimistic people engage in, eventually you will become one of them and live your best life possible. This goes along with positive image. It's very important. We can incorporate it into your lifestyle. And this is the development of a positive image, because unfortunately, people judge you by the way you look on the outside, by the way you appear. Very important is for personal achievement is what we call peer pressure. Peer pressure is actually a bad thing, not always, because it can usually be turned out to our advantage. For example, we can use it in order to form a group of volunteers, and this way help communities and help humanity. And here we can see three kinds of pressure. We have direct peer pressure. This is when a friend or a colleague tries to influence us to change our position. We have an indirect peer pressure when this actually. Why? Because we are social by nature. Humans are social by nature, and we generally feel uncomfortable when we are alone. We feel alone or isolated. And individual peer pressure. Why? Because we all want to feel that we belong somewhere. Important the role of positive motivation, feeling of progress can create positive feedback. And according to experts in Harvard Business School, there are three kinds of inner work-life triggers that keeps us motivated or discourages. What we call progress versus setbacks, catalysts versus inhibitors, the actions that either directly support or hinder what we're trying to do, and nourishes versus toxins, that would be an encouragement or a criticism from other people. And also the power of great developing resilience is what we call the science of sticking to it. And what is resilience? Psychologist Carol Dweck is a pioneer of the growth mindset. It describes it as a constructive response that could be behavior, an attitude or emotion, etc. So resilient people are confronted usually by obstacles, but they see situations as a challenge and also not as a defeat. Very important the role of emotional intelligence here in order to achieve why you need to understand how emotional intelligence can impact actually our career success. So emotional intelligence is a topic that has been researched already since the early 90s and has been found to be an important indicator of life and career success. And this refers to a form of social intelligence that involves the ability to monitor your own and other feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them, and use this information to guide our thinking and our actions. So this is different from intelligence quotient. Why? Because the IQ, what we call IQ, measures intelligence based on a score derived from intelligence tests. And on the other hand, EQ it's something that grows and develops over time. IQ is stable. EQ, emotional quotient, is something that grows and develops over time. This theory is developed by Daniel Goleman, and According to Goldman, there are four main aspects of emotional intelligence. We're going to discuss this about later. So what happens now, how this is emotional intelligence related to success? To begin with, IQ is not a good predictor of job performance, of happiness or a success. So Daniel Goleman points out that if this myth were true, everyone who graduated, for instance, at the top of the class with honors would be among the most successful people. We all know that it's not true, and this is not the case. We know that the qualities other than IQ can help predict success. So research has shown that EQ makes up 58% of our job requirements, and this is the single biggest predictor of performance in the workplace and the strongest driver of leadership and personal excellence. The research also showed that 90% of high performance at work had high IQ, while 20% of low performance had low IQ. And also, research shows that this emotional intelligence is related to high salary because for every point increase in EQ, there is 1,300 USD per year increase in salary. Here we can see all these transferable skills. People with strong emotional intelligence are better to tolerate uncertainty, to handle conflicts, communicate effectively, to cope with inevitable ups and downs of life, communicate effectively, motivate, etc. Now, the four main components of EQ are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, social skills, and empathy. Self-awareness and relationship management. Self-awareness is ability to understand the feelings of others from moment to moment, because understanding our emotions can help us reduce stress and make better decisions, especially when we are under pressure. This can help us make better decisions, especially when we are able to know and recognize our own strengths and our weaknesses. Self-awareness consists of this goal setting, continuous learning, lifelong learning, stress management, time management, self-esteem, and personal motivation. Here we can mention also the well-known Dunning-Kruger effect. This actually is interesting because this investigates the limits of our self-knowledge. And this research showed that people who don't understand a skill generally don't know that they don't understand it because they don't realize what understanding would involve. So in this study, participants were asked to assess their capabilities and then undergo a series of tests. It's interesting to see what is the Dunning-Kruger effect here, what its research shows. That the least skilled 25% of volunteers consider themselves likely to score well above average. And on the other hand, the expectations of the middle 50% were both more modest and more accurate than the bottom 21%. And even more surprising is that the most accomplished 25% slightly underestimated their own abilities. So know yourself and your abilities, and be confident is very, very important. Now, self-management, it's our ability to understand social cues that may, self-management, is our ability to manage our emotions, and it's dependent on our self-awareness ability, how we handle frustration, how we handle anger and sadness, if we're able to control our behaviors and our emotions. And this consists of these components, making good ethical choices, being an effective leader, the ability to handle change, to motivate ourselves. And here about the self-manager, it's interesting to see what we can do in order, instead of saying, I'm an idiot, you can say, I need some more work. Instead of saying, I will never be able to get all of this done, you can say I need to prioritize my do list. Social awareness, our ability to understand all the social cues that may affect others around us, understand how others feel, and this includes also having empathy for others, recognizing power structure and all this workplace dynamics. So we talk about networking, about how to communicate effectively, how to work in groups, and be effective in a workplace environment. Relationship management refers to our ability to communicate clearly, maintain good relationship with others, work well in teams, and this relies on our ability to use all the other three areas of EQ that we have already mentioned. And this consists of negotiation skills, being ethical, dealing with conflict and understanding emotions and attitudes of others. Now, in order to increase our for instance, self-awareness skills, we should, what we could do, we should spend time thinking about our emotions to understand why we experience a specific emotion. We should look at those things that cause strong reactions, such as an anger. And by doing this, we can begin to see a pattern within ourselves that help us explain how we behave and how we feel in certain situations. This allows us to handle those situations when they arise. In order to increase our self-management skills, we can focus on the positive, as I said before, instead of the negative. Instead of saying, I'm idiot, you can say, I need more work. Practice self-talk. This can help increase our self-management. Self-talk refers to the thoughts that we have about ourselves. Let's not forget that on the average every day we have over 50,000 thoughts per day. In order to increase social awareness skills, means that we can observe others' actions and watch people to get a good sense of how they are reacting. In this way, we can gain social awareness skills. So by learning people's name, making sure that we watch their body language, and practicing listening skills and asking follow-up questions, etc. Strategies for relationship manager could include being open, acknowledging other feelings, showing that we care, being willing to listen to colleagues and employees and understanding them on a personal level. This can help enhance relationship management skills. So this is related to goal setting. Our emotional intelligence, as I said before, is the cornerstone for career success. So part of self-management is knowing ourselves, be able to set goals based on understanding our needs and our wants. Many people end up adrift in life with no real goal or purpose, which can show lack of self-management, and some people are unhappy this way, but most people would prefer to have goals that can set the direction for their life. It is similar, when you have to go on a road trip without a map or GPS. You might have fun for a while, going where the wind takes you, but at some point you may like to see specific things or stop at certain places, which creates the need for GPS. So we need to set goals. The most popular model for setting goals is what we call SMART model. And this SMART model means that when we set a goal, this goal should be specific. Rather than saying, I want to be a better person, which is very general, you can say, I want to be a volunteer for 2 weeks per week. The more specific the goal is, the more we're able to define if we are successful in this goal. The goal should be measurable also, because at the end of the time period, you should be... Okay. The goals should also be attainable. That means that we must either already able to develop our attitudes, our skills, our abilities in order to achieve the goal, and relevant, realistic and relevant is something that it helps you to do something meaningful and something that will have impact in your life. Time-oriented, there should always be a time frame attached to a specific goal, because most individuals will have longer term and shorter term goals. So this is also important. And also here I want to say something that these goals are composed of smarter of shorter-term goals, what we call objectives. For instance, if you set the goal to manage a medical lab, in order to meet this longer-term goal, you need to have a shorter-term goals such as first earn a medical lab technology degree, to obtain employment as a medical lab tech, to develop skills by attending conferences, etc. This goal consists of shorter-term objectives. And very important how to deal with change. In order to achieve, you need to change. Change is the constant force, effective business, workplace, etc. So we need to be positive about change, accept it as a necessary part of our work life. We cannot expect things to stay the same for long. So the better we can get accepted change, the more successful we likely in our career. Here you can see some reactions of change. That would be denial, how we felt well in the past. Resistance, that could create anger, complaining, getting sick. Third step usually could be exploration, what is going to happen to me. But at the same time, this could give us energy and finally can help us to be committed and to be focused and to develop visions. The most popular model about how to deal with change is Lewin's model. Actually, this consists of three phases. So what we call unfreezing, first of all, because friction causes change and reduction of forces causes change to happen. Change, now that motivations to change have occurred, the change needs to actually occur. So change is a process, not one event at a time. And refreezing, once the change has been made, the refreezing process is when the change is the new normal. People form a new relationship and get more comfortable with their routines. So when we become comfortable with change, we're able to follow change in our professional lives. So we need obviously navigation skills, finding our success path. Here maybe you can see that there are two actual theories, the negative theory, the idea that our talents, our competencies are fixed, and the other one, the incremental theory, that what we are capable of doing is something that we can change and we can develop. The positive development cycle, it's something that argues that people learn most when they are taught to focus on the strengths rather than the weaknesses. And this can create a virtuous cycle. What you already know sets a foundation for learning more. New learning builds on and reinforces what you already know. Given the right support, you can build up a really solid skill set. Lifelong learning, continuous learning is the key to succeed, because continuous learning involves the process of constantly trying to update skills and learn new ones. This shows high emotional intelligence in the area of self-awareness, as I said before, and self-management. I need to know to learn this new skill to be more valuable to my employee, to be more productive, for instance. Having self-awareness or knowing your strengths is the first step in improving your chances for career, for success. So people who often learn new skills, according to research, tend to be happier individuals and more value to the organization. So I can mention an example. Zappos is a storyteller in Washington. What they're doing there, they maintain a wishes list for employees. So they post things, employees post things they're interested in learning, such as how to cook an ethnic dish, and they are connected with other members of the organization who have the skills. So they focus on continuous learning, makes these happier employees, and this makes more productive workers. And it is all the studies found that employees who are actually happy, this is very critical for organization success. So learning new skills increase happiness, which in turn can build self-confidence and a more fulfilling life. Now, we're going, before going to strategies, we can see here, it's interesting that a study showed that 94% of professors reported that they were doing above average work. That means that we are probably more accurate if we think of ourselves. So that means that we need to be self-aware, and we need to do the right introspection and always be eager and willing to learn new things. Napoleon Hill is the one who wrote The Science of Personal Achievement. It's well known around the world. It has suggested some principles. It's a best-selling book, and it has proposed some important principles about this. First of all, what we call definiteness of purpose. A starting point of all achievement is this: knowing what your goal is, knowing what you want. This fills us with a success consciousness and protects us against failure. What exercise we could do for this? We decide on a major goal in your life, either personal or professional. How much time will you give yourself to achieve this goal? How will you know that you'll achieve it if your success is measurable, etc., etc. Mastermind principle is coordination of effort between two or more people in a spirit of perfect harmony in order to attain a specific objective. For instance, as exercise, we can keep in mind the steps for creating a mastermind group, given list, the people who can help us reach a goal, as well as the ways in which can help us. So adopt a definite purpose with an objective to be attained by the group. Applied faith, which is a state of mind through which our aims, our desires, our plans and purposes are translated into the physical or financial equivalent. Pleasant personality, very important, helps us master the major cause of failure. Going the extra mile, rendering more and better service than doing it all the time and doing it with a pleasant, positive attitude. Personal initiative, the inner power that starts all action. Self-discipline, very important, because self-discipline is the ability to control our thoughts and emotions. It's, I think, the only thing in life in which over which we have completed and unchallenged and unchallengeable control. For instance, you can use the statement "I will." So try to visualize in your mind that we are doing try to visualize what you want. And control attention, the highest form of self-discipline, the act of coordinating all your mind's faculties, enthusiasm, of course, passion, imagination, and important how to learn from adversity and defeat. Budgeting, time and money, successful people know themselves. And accurate thinking, the accurate thinker recognizes all of the facts of life, both good and bad, and assumes the responsibility of separating and organizing the two. Apart from this, we have a sound, of course, physical health, according to Hill, Dr. Hill. The key that coordinates all other people's and sets all ideas into motion. Sound health provides the flavor to the good things in life. And cooperation, the harmony based on this collaboration, which gives great personal and personal power. And what Hill calls cosmic habit force is the universe law of equilibrium, the one natural law into which all other natural laws resolve themselves. We talk about positive mental attitudes to govern our lives. We must be able to govern our minds, and that is the starting point of all successful people. Beating negative thinking, it's the power of optimism, and there are some steps for this. First, we can identify and prioritize our top goals. We can set some micro goals and some micro goals. at the same time. The second step for this could be to break down our goals into steps. This is especially helpful for long-term goals. Third step, appreciate that there is more than one way to reach a goal. And so studies show that pessimistic students have difficulty problem solving their way past obstacles. So flexibility is a key skill here. And fourth step, tell your success stories. Hear other people's success stories. Seek out opportunities to remind yourself that adversity can be overcome. And fifth step, stay light and positive, because self-pity is the death of optimism. So keep your self-talk positive and find the funny side of your mistakes, etc. Honesty, of course, credibility and reliability. Here we can see, according to cognitive behavioral therapy, this is the cognitive distortions. We are all vulnerable to this. These cognitive distortions can actually undermine our optimism. So here, what it happens? What are these distortions? Personalization, for instance, if you blame yourself when things go wrong, or overgeneralization. Someone thinks that we usually do it. Emotional reasoning, taking your feelings for facts. Mental filter, all or nothing thinking. If you aren't always perfect, then you must be hopeless. Labeling and mislabeling, jumping to conclusions, maximizing, minimizing, should statements, and all or nothing thinking, as I said before. So we have also the case of feedback, sharing ideas and hear opinions as a model of Beck and Bear, and according to psychologists. For instance, if you say to someone, you're really making everyone feel that they're appreciated, this actually describes what someone's doing that benefits everyone, this kind of behavior. It shows how we can formulate properly our now, what are the success strategies now? Dreaming realities. First, strategies for personal achievement can be summarized as a balance between understanding what you want, working for these goals, and keep in mind embodying harmony throughout this journey. So dreaming realities, the strategy for personal achievement is to know where to begin or where to draw the line. So you need to truly believe that this is achievable, this goal, and work for it. And then establish beliefs. The way to establish beliefs is through creating in your mind of the experience you desire in the future as if it were here now. Is what we call experience results in advance. So when the results you have around you are not supporting you in being in a powerful and effective state, you can simply create the world the way you want it to be and step into this experience, thereby changing your states, your beliefs, and your actions. For instance, let's say that a person has a belief that he's ineffective. He's ineffective at something. Let's say that he has told himself that he is a bad student. If he has expectations of failure, how much of this potential is he going to tap? Not very much, of course. But why? Because he has already told himself that he doesn't know. He has already signaled his brain to expect a failure. Another important thing is to come up with an inventory of strengths, of skills, resources, and tools. So think about the characters, about your friends, about the financial resources, education, the time, energy, etc. When you have done this, you can focus on times you used some of these resources more skillfully. Come up with 3 to 5 times in your life when you were totally successful. Think of the times, for instance, in work or in school when you did something particularly well. It can be anything, and you can write things down, describe what you did that made you succeed, what qualities or resources you made effective use of, and what about that situation made you feel successful. And after you have done all this, you can describe the kind of person you will have to be to attain your goals. Now you can write down what prevents you from having the things you desire. So one way to overcome the limitations that you have created is to know exactly what these limitations are. So dissect your personality to see what's holding you back from achieving what you want. Do you fail to plan? Do you plan but fail to act? Do you try to do many things at one time? Or do you get so fixated on one thing that you don't do anything else? And take the time also to take each of the key goals and create your first draft of a step-by-step plan on how to achieve it. Remember to start with the goal always and ask yourself what I would have to do first to accomplish this, what prevents me from having this now, and what can I do to change this. Make sure your plans include something you could do today. So far, you can see that the present is the tense that we need to use. We talk about now and not the future. So come up with some models, very important, because it's important to write down the names of people who have achieved something and specify a few words, the qualities and behaviors that make them successful. For instance, Adrian Kasowski is someone with who modeled Rockefeller. He wanted to be a wealthy, successful businessman, so he modeled someone who had done what he wanted to do. Steven Spielberg modeled people at Universal Studios even before he was 5. So virtually everyone who has been a great success has had a model or a mentor or teachers who guide him in the right direction. And sometimes we forget that dreams begin at home. We forget that the first step towards success is providing ourselves with an atmosphere that nurtures our creativity, that helps us everything we can be. So design a perfect environment. We need to accentuate this sense of place, this environment without no limitations. And so what this means that we may never become great, we may never become famous or popular, but we can leave our imprint by making a difference in the lives of people we encounter. When we touch people's lives in a deep and profound way, we leave imprints on their soul. This is what we call soul print. For instance, a mother who is an educator, to reiterate, however, left many soul prints through her love, her sacrifices, and wisdom. So, in some way, all of us can leave soul prints in the lives of the people we touch. And as I said before, present is perfect, and the only time we have is now. Language of attraction, because languages actually shapes the way we think and defines what we can think about. Think about how do your words influence your thoughts. Then we need to be clear about sending out positive messages. Are our words creating our thoughts, or our thoughts creating our words? How many times have you said, I can't, or I hope so, or I shouldn't, etc. Vision and values, very also important because this actually, here we can mention some tips about this. Get plenty of rest, eat healthier, maintain attitude of gratitude, be open-minded, quiet down or TV or daily interactions, distracting interactions, clean up your space, and also take time each day to unplug. Why? Because by tuning into our higher ourselves, and listening to these quiet but powerful messages, we can focus on our ways of thinking directly to us. This is very important because we are here to love more deeply. We are here to laugh harder. We are here to work less, to play more, to take our vacation days, to speak our mind, to trust our intuition, to share the wealth, to receive our gifts. Of course, there is no one size fits a model to find your purpose. It's about turning into what feels good to you, because your fire is within you and you are whole, you are complete and perfect just as you are. Very important. Recently, I read the book of Donald Trump, the former American president. It's a book. It's called 101 Ways to Success, and it's interesting to see some of his suggestions. Donald Trump says that some things are worth waiting for because most people are impatient and want to quick results. But waiting is often the smarter way to go. It takes toughness to hang in there and wait, especially when you must take a long time. And he mentions an example. Donald Trump waited 30 years to get Trump Place going. He bought a land in 1974, and 30 years after, this place was become and it became the largest development approved by the New York City. He talks about courage. Refusing to give up takes courage. Courage is the opposite of fear. You can't allow fear to paralyze you. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. And you know that what said Mark Twain. Mark Twain says that sometimes the most talented people fail and those who are far less talented succeed. Those who succeed move forward with confidence and never allow others to convince themselves then to give up. So in some areas, we need to have courage and not give up. What are the tips that Donald Trump suggests? To become a planner. Examine every project in detail before you commit to it and plan every step you will have to take it to make it succeed. To realistically assess the greatest downside liability for each potential problem that you face. To build a financial cushion that will allow you to avoid being squeezed when problems and delays occur. And of course, to have a weekly work week as a diary. Research pays off. When Donald Trump was interested in buying Wall Street building, first, he tried to learn everything he could about the building. He studied the building, the neighborhood, the market conditions, and anything remotely related. When the opportunity finally came up to building, he did a very important investment. So research also is important. Insist on perfection, I could say, I would use not the word perfection, I would use the word maximization or optimization because nobody can be perfect. So Trump says that when he developed his golf courses, he called then the world's top experts. So he asked them hundreds of questions about day, about every tree, about every hole, because he didn't want to leave anything to chance. He wanted to identify the best products, people, etc. So by the time construction begins, he knew everything that needs to be done and how the entire project should proceed. Ignorance is inexcusable. It's the surest way to fail. No acceptable reason exists for not being well informed. The projects succeed when you create a team of experts who put their knowledge together and aim for the best. Don't quit, learn everything you can because you never know when it will come in handy. For instance, we can mention how Trump created the university, Trump University, because he wanted to impart the business knowledge that he had accumulated over the years. And this is a way of stressing how important it is to obtain knowledge. Use your instincts because it takes strength to follow your instincts. With my neighbor and everything insists that you are wrong. It's harder to stand alone against the tide of differing opinions and all the solid evidence produced by the acclaimed experts. Sometimes that is just what you must do. You have to listen to your inner voices and trust what they want to tell you. And in final analysis, the responsibility for making decisions lies with you. Business never stops. It keeps moving on. So you can't rest on your laurels or become complacent. If you stop or relax, you may put yourself out of business because someone is always eager to take your place. So to survive, in order to survive, you must be determined, you must be persistent and prepare for the long run, even if all the odds are stacked against you. That's where courage comes in. For instance, Michelangelo, the artist, was a genius who went to extremes for his art, and his results were spectacular. He had to be courageous to succeed during a tumultuous time in history, when he had to deal with the Medici family, and we know how he worked in a very dictatorial and demanding and unreasonable people and environment, but he succeeded. So teach yourself how to be more courageous, and there are some tips. As I said before, identify your goals, be determined, continue despite the obstacles you face, address your fears. If your fears are realistic, find a way to overcome them, get more training, more experience, or put in more hours and work harder. Expect problems, because rarely is anything that's worth doing problem-free. We have to learn from our failures and from problems. Since everyone makes mistakes, to try to be understanding when other people fail. When problems arise, so we can use some tips. Understand that difficulties, mistakes, and setbacks are an inevitable part of business of life. No matter how well we plan and how hard we work, things can always change and require that we react. Dealing with trouble promptly is usually the best approach, generally most cost-effective than hoping trouble will go away. And don't allow problems to affect us. Learn from each situation. How to develop faith? Faith is a state of mind which may be induced or may be created by affirmations or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. So through autosuggestion, you can convince your subconscious mind that you believe you will receive that for which you ask. Your subconscious mind will act upon that belief, then pass it back to you in the form of faith, followed by definite plans for procuring that which you desire. For instance, there are millions of people who believe themselves doomed to poverty and failure because of some strange forces over which they believe they have no control. So all of these people are creators of their own misfortunes because of this negative belief, which is picked up by their subconscious mind and translated into its physical equivalent. So we need self-confidence before formula, because we need to dominate our thoughts and our actions. We need to be self-confident, and persistence. We talked about persistence. Is the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. Is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. The basis of persistence is the power of will. So willpower and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. People who accumulate great fortunes are generally thought as cold-blooded, sometimes ruthless, and often they are misunderstood. What they have is actually willpower, which they mix with persistence and place back with their desires to ensure the attainment of their objectives. For instance, Henry Ford was generally misunderstood to be ruthless and cold-blooded. So this misconception grew out of Ford's habit of following through in all his places with persistence. The majority of people are ready to throw their aims and purposes, and they give up at the first sign of opposition and misfortune. So if you see all the cases of not only of Ford, of Rockefellers, of Edison, and other outstanding achievers of the world, the main principle, the main quality that they had was actually this persistence. Also, how to develop now persistence. There are some steps in order to lead ourselves to the habit of persistence. We don't need a great amount of intelligence, no particular amount of education, but little time of effort. So these steps could be A definite purpose backed by burning desire for its fulfillment, a definite plan expressed in continuous action, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions or relatives, friends, and acquaintances, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage to follow through with both plan and purpose. And this is essential for success in all walks of life. Very important to be innovator, not an imitator. Innovation is a great part of success or personal achievement. You need to stand out from the crowd and have innovative and original ideas. And be like water, because water is need to be powerful, gentle, adaptable, ever-changing, because being static in a dynamic world is a recipe for disaster. If you can adapt, you can succeed. Our practical and three-dimensional reality and everything in it in a constant state of transition is in a constant state of transition, and this means that status don't succeed, they just get grabbed on. We need to be always in alert. By summarizing, we can see some secrets of success. Let passion be your guide. Do what you do because you want it, because you love it. Being industrious, develop expertise, practice, learn, and hone your skills until you are really good at what you do. Maintain always focused, remain persistent, as I said before, be inquisitive, so develop curiosity, observation, and try to help always what you do. This should be in the benefit of humanity, in the benefit of service learning, and forge ahead. We have seen all these principles, the steps that by which we can control actually our achievement, and these are steps that would lead to freedom and independence of thought, the steps that would lead to more or less greater personal achievement. These steps can convert dreams into physical realities. This is a magnificent reward for all who want to learn to take these steps, and for all these who want to succeed in their lives. So thank you very much for your attention. And of course, we can discuss.
If anyone has any query from our participant side, then you can ask now. In the chat box, there is not any question. Okay, so yeah, we proceed with our session. And at last but not the least, a big thanks to our participants. I really appreciate that you took the time to be here and joined our session, listen to us very patiently. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow with a new wonderful session.
Thank you very much from this great opportunity, and looking forward to our next session about authentic leadership. We have a lot to say there, so expect your
Yes,
presence.
ma'am. Yeah, ma'am, we'll wait. We'll miss your session. We are waiting. Thank you.